Trauma. A word that we've all bonded with more frequently over the last few years, in large part due to the pandemic and its innate ability both drive us crazy and force us to take a long hard look at ourselves and redefine what mental health looks like. We've had to interrogate ourselves with the hardest questions and take charge, holding ourselves accountable for the way we advocate for our mental health, emotional well-being and ability to positively contribute to the spaces we occupy. That process usually brings us back to where we started, home. Many of us who sit at intersections of marginalization usually find ourselves overwhelmed or looking for solutions beyond our grasp, and find solace in being able to talk to our therapist, be it a professional or our bestie. However, we rarely examine the cause of the issues at hand. We don't usually embark on the journey of self-discovery by leveraging the distress we experience that left most of us seeking to figure out who we are and what we stand for. What happens when we realize that Big Mama's messaging on how to keep a man was degrading to your self-worth, and Pop's idea of masculinity was and still is a product of a social construct curated by white folks who work to create the margins that forge the issues in the first place? The dependence minority communities have in regard to the family dynamic is in a lot of ways problematic. It causes generational trauma that lives through the expression and decisions made by members of the family thereafter. But what happens when what you know to be true for yourself and what you've been taught are conflicting? In a generation of folks willing to do the work necessary to be the best version of themselves, what happens when we realize we have to re-raise ourselves? How much time do we lose furnishing space to get it wrong to make way for thoughts and behaviors seemingly etched into the fibers that tell us who we are as people? The answer appears to be that we thrive. Black boy joy is at an all-time high, and the ability and willingness to have conversations that don't begin and end with an excuse are amazing. On the flip side, is black women taking up space for themselves in ways that don't center the male experience as a guidebook. We are learning that there is nuance in our ability to experience both the world and our blackness in ways that feel more authentic than we imagined we could. At the same time, we have felt more liberated than we've ever been allowed to experience, and because of this our relationships are flourishing. We're traveling in record numbers and taking hold of our financial freedom like never before. I say this to say that Grandma and Nem weren't wrong, but their methods of life are outdated, and in most instances, they cause more harm than good. What they lacked due to an oppressive and extremely destructive system we make up for with our willingness to be defiant rather than complacent with change that happens incrementally. This doesn't change the effect that it has on the way we navigate the world as human beings. It doesn't change the way that our bodies respond to the violence that we see every day on social media and in our communities, but it does help us to understand ways to better navigate them and how we will move forward in the future. The goal, however, isn't to continue to feel like backtracking once we get to a space where we feel the freedom to navigate our own lives on our own terms. The goal is to create spaces that make sure there is less of a need to re-educate ourselves once we come of age, simply because the work will be done correctly the first time. You'll be able to discern for yourself the first time, read for yourself the first time, and interpret what the truth is for yourself the first time. Gone are the days of therapy sessions that discuss performative upbringing tactics that only serve the elder in question. Gone are the days of therapy sessions that discuss having to rework how we've been taught to think based on ideologies that won't age well. And hello to the days of having a conversation for comprehension, and moving forward in ways that help to impact future thinking that continue to elevate the way we see blackness and how we show up. My greatest accomplishment is breaking generational curses. I am not sure about changes. I think we need to help more families with high incarceration rates. For a living I work as a paraprofessional at my old high school and also a basketball skills trainer. I chose these as a career because both of them give me an opportunity to help others maneuver throughout life. And I am a resource in the community. Advice I would give is to find something that you truly have passion for and work hard to give it % even if it drains you at times. Try to take it day by day even if it feels you aren't getting anywhere at the time. My greatest accomplishment is breaking generational curses. Getting out of my comfort zone to build an organization that was founded by myself. Help others that are in need. Showing a different way than some of my close family and friends. A great challenge I've overcome is not letting the fact that some immediate family members have been incarcerated throughout my childhood and even now lead me down that path. I chose my own path. People don't know that I overthink things more than I should. I could have anxiety and depression and never even know it. I just take things one day at a time. Together for Families, hear this out. Ruth Silveira and her son, Alan, experienced homelessness for several months in Miami after she and her husband divorced. At the time, she sought help from the Division of Family and Children's Services, but she said they could not provide her with what she needed. When she and her son moved to Georgia, she was met with a similar response. Silveira said she developed substance use disorder after this period of homelessness, and her son was removed from her home and placed with his uncle for about 9 months. DFCS assistance wasn't available to her until a case had been opened and her son was already removed, she said. After she packed up the last of her son's possessions to bring to his uncle, she slept in her car rather than face a home without her son, Silveira said. She wanted to get him back, but she needed help navigating the system and paying for the required classes. Silveira felt lonely and defeated without a community or support. Sarah Winograd, program manager of Together for Families and a former court-appointed special advocate, said she noticed that many of the children she worked with in the child welfare system just wanted to go home to their parents. She found families that were in similar situations to Silveira's, where the parents loved their children and wanted to care for them, but were met with barriers caused by poverty. Winograd realized there were resources and nonprofits for children already in foster care, but Cobb County was missing an organization that offered wraparound services to families and parents that would help prevent them from being separated from their children in the first place. As a result, she has spent the last few years creating Together for Families, a program that would begin to meet those needs. Our families are isolated, and so we want to come around them, and the community can come around them, and that's how the community can keep children safe, in the home, and out of foster care together, Winograd said. In April, Together for Families officially opened its resource center and provided Winograd a place to operate outside of her basement, she said. The resource center is in a sunny building with a cozy sitting room filled with books and toys. Homemade cards decorate one side of the wall along with pictures of people who have donated and brought supplies. The back rooms are stocked with any supplies a new parent might need, from diapers to beds to hygiene items to clothes for children all the way up to high school age. People can donate items from Together for Families' Amazon wishlist, they can donate money, businesses can run donation drives and companies can even provide services, Winograd said. In order to qualify for Together for Families services, families must currently be in possession of their children since the goal of the program is to prevent family separation. They must be referred to Winograd through DFCS, which ensures that the families are meeting DFCS requirements, she said. For example, DFCS might create a safety plan with the parent that requires them to meet certain standards, like finding secure housing, providing a bed for the child or getting rid of roaches, Winograd said. So we want to make sure you're redoing what you need to for DFCS, and then you're redoing this part for DFCS. Now let us handle poverty, Winograd said. Let us handle the poverty portion and self-sufficiency. Families who are referred to Together for Families can visit the resource center quarterly or receive a delivery of items they need to build a safe home for their children, Winograd said. During her time as a CASA worker, Winograd said she was shocked to see how many children were put into foster care because their families were in poverty, not because of intentional neglect or abuse. She said she noticed that if the underlying issues of poverty were met, placing a child into foster care wouldn't be necessary. I saw that this was a problem not just with this one family that I was working with, Winograd said. This was a widespread problem. There are so many families that with some help, they could provide a safe home for their children without the need for the trauma of foster care. When Chelsea Griffith, an attorney in the Cobb County Juvenile Court, saw the passion Winograd had for families like Silveira's, she offered to give parents who were struggling with poverty Winograd's number. Her hope was Winograd could help provide them with concrete items they needed to create a safe home for their children as well as outside resources, Winograd said. It started as a grassroots community effort. Winograd put notices on about her mission, and her neighbors responded with donations. Her first cash donation came from Together for Families. Current program assistant, Daniel Middleton Remika, she said. Other neighbors joined in, like Ingeborg de Brouwer, who now volunteers as the Resource Center and Inventory and Quality Coordinator. The reason for the name Together for Families is because that's really how it started, Winograd said. It started with us getting together for the sake of families, to keep families and save families whose children are better served within their families than traumatized and removed from their families. What began as a group of neighbors and friends grew as more community members donated money, supplies, resources and time. As Winograd continued helping more families, her friend and president at Merit Financial Advisors, Kay Lynn Mayhew, suggested searching for a way to create a formal program out of it. Mayhew said. Winograd decided to look for a pre-existing non-profit to partner with, she said. She discovered Advocates for Children, a non-profit that provides services to children and families who have been through neglect or abuse, and reached out to the president of Advocates for Children, Rachel Castillo. I thought Together for Families was very innovative and exciting and that it would enhance Advocates programming, Castillo said. Instead of doing a standalone non-profit and having to spend a lot of money creating systems and administration and things like that, Together for Families came underneath our umbrella so that more of the funds we raise can go to helping families. Mayhew served on the board of an adoption and fostering ministry and had seen the first-hand trauma that children experience when they are removed from their families. When Mayhew saw the difference that Winograd was making and the group that she had already brought together, she and her husband found an opportunity to financially support Winograd. She offered a generous donation to get the program running, and Winograd was able to officially join with Advocates for Children. If we as a community can get behind and meet those parents' needs that they are not able to meet themselves, whether that be beds for the kids to sleep on or proper car seats for the kids to be in or food to put on the table. Mayhew said. If we could prevent that trauma from that child being removed, it can be a game changer for that one child, and that situation is going to transform the community as well. In addition to the Resource Center, Winograd said she plans on launching a Parent Ally program and a Family Navigator program soon to help parents work towards self-sufficiency. Winograd said that many families want a higher paid job, or to get a driver's license or to open a bank account. And so that's what sparked the whole idea of working with families towards self-sufficiency, Winograd said. A lot of the families that I worked with initially, just meeting immediate basic needs, we started working with them to make them self-sufficient. Additionally, a Parent Ally program would allow parents who have left the system and moved on to offer other parents help and support. Families who successfully navigated will be partnering with families who are navigating it now so that they can be an emotional support to them and provide some guidance to them and give them some hope, Winograd said. Griffith gave Silvera Winograd's contact information and urged her to reach out, Silvera said. Their relationship began with Winograd helping Silvera buy her son Legos for Christmas and a Christmas tree to decorate their home, and it grew when Silvera explained to Winograd how alone she felt, she said. Winograd introduced Silvera to a step support group called Celebrate Recovery. The program introduced her to people who really cared about her recovery process, her story and didn't judge her, Silvera said. Even now, they still reach out to check up on her and tell her how much they miss her, she said. That is the point of the community, she said. You have to have a good community. The people around me, they helped me. Silvera also started volunteering at the Solidarity Sandy Springs Food Bank, and Winograd connected her with other Hispanic mothers who she could support and help, Silvera said. Now, Winograd and Silvera are friends and Silvera recently dropped off a large bag of baby clothes at Winograd's Resource Center and some toys her baby no longer plays with. The clothes are for other people. It is for other moms, it is for other babies, Silvera said. Silvera works hard to provide for her 2 sons and their cat named Pankies, which means hot dog in Uruguayan, she said. Silvera said she doesn't want to be lumped into the same group as the parents who abandon and abuse their children, and she doesn't want to be judged for her mistakes. These families have been overlooked and marginalized, and when you show them love and compassion, the same love and affection we all deserve, they do so. Well, Winograd said. Children love their parents, they want to be with their parents. And they don't define their parents by their worst mistake,